Hello, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer, and I have trained and my skills are honed all of the psychic abilities, the ones that are without instruments. And I'm here totally aligned with my mission, having to do with giving extra information that can help us all navigate these times more easily. The the definition of a Buddha is a person that wants to diminish human anguish. That's my goal. And I suspect it's the goal for a lot of you. So we're here together. We're in an interesting time. I'm in a frontal attack with a major enemy that does not want me to share with you. Um, so weird things can happen during this chat, and we will ignore them to the extent that we can. In the other chats, sometimes we take some time off to address it. We're not going to do that here because the chat is not long enough, and we don't want to get caught up with that. We'll deal with him later. By the way, the enemy that I'm talking about is a living human being that we are disconnecting from us by cutting the kind of channels that you see in the movie The Matrix. It turns out that from his system of mind streams, he has 13 people under total control because he's inserted his mind streams into them. I'm one of those people. We're disconnecting that now. And he is so upset that I think he called a lawyer or a family member who's a lawyer to see if he could sue me. This happened today. Remote viewing is wonderful. But it's interesting because how could he take me to court? I'm responding to what he's doing to us, and all of this is happening in the other dimensions. I just gave a little map of his mind strings and 13 other people, and the only person I mentioned was myself. So how will that hold up? And that's something you should think about. When the other dimensional realities are integrated into society, these lawsuits that we do today, they're not going to work. What about this karma thing? He and I have karma together. But the karma we have is not the bad karma you're thinking. He actually is acting out badly to stimulate me to access my superpowers so that I can defend myself. And in that way, he's setting me up. I don't know if you ever heard about the, what do you call it? The episcopal, they found maybe 30 years ago a short chapter on Judas. What do you call them? The ones that are included in the Bible. It's not an episode, nor a chapter. I forget what the word is. This means I'm extremely stressed. But the core message of this information that was considered accurate by scientists was that Christ asked Judas to let the Romans know where he was. And Judas said, I'm not going to do that because they're going to pick you up and they're going to kill you. And Christ asked him 3 times and he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And Christ said, I need for you to do this. And he did it. And then supposedly he killed himself from feeling so guilty. And yet, what did he accomplish when he did that? He set Christ up for exactly what Christ perhaps needed, which was a very dramatic ending. Because if Christ had not died on that cross the way he did, none of us would be familiar with his teachings today. That makes Judas a very evolved person, sacrificing himself for us. And it makes sense, but then it turns out El Evangelio, what is the name of it? El Evangelio in Spanish. So it's the same thing with this man. We have karma together in that we have agreed to come in. Then you don't remember, the veil goes down, and then you're in a pitched battle, like with an ex-husband or a boyfriend or a boss or whatever. And it turns out that that is kind of like a setup to position the people to where they need to be. That does not take away that the personality is not in agreement with that, does not remember that agreement, does not want to live by that agreement, and yet goes ahead anyway. So we're going to continue with us. I sketched everybody the collective consciousness of this group before you came in. This is what you look like. This is really good. You have a protection already, and you haven't even gotten here. But yes, you did get here, because I'm sure that in your heads at some point you knew that you would be here, or we're going to try to be here. Here we have the third eye evolving very nicely, thank you. And then we have the wonderful healing in what appears to be the 13th chakra that I know nothing about, but has to do with galactic communication. That's good. Everything is pointing in the same direction, an integration of this planet with the reality of beings from other galaxies, other planets, the realities of exchanges with them, probably the reality that there has been exchanges before now that we've not been privy to. And a lot of people looking increasingly like they are purposely blocking this information from coming out. Doesn't matter. You are ready. Is it going to be easy? Probably not, but inevitable. We're going to go ahead and bottom line, having to do with the craziness of the world. And today it got even crazier with some new news that came out. There is no way that we are going to get a grip on what's going on, because this is supposed to be like this. All these things are supposed to be happening. All the truths are supposed to be revealed. We're supposed to have our legitimate emotional reaction. This is the way it's going to be. So we can fight up against it, and every piece of news go, oh my God, see, I knew. Or you can go, that's this information. I don't believe that. How do we? You can't do any of that, because what you're doing is you're reacting to a chaotic process that was not preordained, but that it was known it was going to happen. We have a collapsing of a paradigm of hierarchy, which means the United States is going to go down. At least that it would appear, and that is kind of what looks like is happening. So we should not get involved in that. And again, we, for the first time, are able to create our own individual reality and not be hooked to the collective reality. The collective reality, not good, not good, not good. And you cannot win, because for us, winning is for things kind of not fall apart. Well, they have to fall apart. They're supposed to fall apart. They are falling apart. So don't hook into that. Increasingly, stay with the fun stuff, the interesting stuff, the stuff where you can make a difference. I don't know why I'm saying this right now, but did you know that in acupuncture, there are 33 ghost points? Did you know that? Most acupuncturists in this part of the world, they don't know that. Oh, there are no ghosts. Well, why would acupuncture have 33 ghost points? Well, those are very spiritual points. Spiritual? Why am I telling you this now? I don't know. But for some reason, it's important for me to give you this information before today is over. Okay? Even acupuncture, Jesus Christ, first remove spirits. Acupuncture has 33 ghost points. Ayurveda, the Catholic Church, has a classification. In Buddhism, Buddhist psychiatry, they have a classification of spirits. Why do you need to know that tonight? I don't know, but you need to know that. Hang on to that. In other words, this is not a new situation, the having to deal with spirits. What are those beings from off planet we can't see? In a sense, they're spirits. But we got a protection, and you hadn't even gotten here. So we're going to stay on the path of, there's a craziness happening out there. A lot of it is real. We're not going to get hooked into it, because we will go down with it, because that system is supposed to go down. It's scheduled to go down. Yes, the future's elastic and plastic. But we're supposed to finish with this cycle and come into a new one. I'm not sure how elastic and plastic the collapse of hierarchy is going to be. I think it's going to be exactly what we're seeing. So if you can unhook from the news and look at personal development, which does not mean you need for your abs for your muscles to be stronger. The dolphins say that one of the problems is that when we got secure in the physical dimension, human beings started to work on their bodies so their bodies would be more comfortable, their physical bodies, when what we were supposed to do was develop spiritually. What does that mean? That means the part of us that is in other dimensions, which is a lot of us. Let me show you the graphic. This is you, one person in the other dimensions. Those are all the vehicles, the envelopes of consciousness that you use. And I'm not going to turn this into a class about them, but you were supposed to develop that and not make your physical body more beautiful, more slender, and discover all the ways to get, what do you call it? Now I understand the whole thing about losing muscle mass. I didn't understand why people would talk about that. Well, I know now why they talk about it, because of my age. Wow. But that's not what it's supposed to be about. And when everything ends, that physical body that so much time was spent on, totally disposable. So we're going to go to how it is that we got here, which means we're going to address your mood. It doesn't really matter what horrible thing happened today, what horrible news came out. This particular mantra is going to help dramatically. So we're going to do this mantra, which is a vacuum cleaner purification mantra. You repeat it in silence, you expel through your mouth. And I'm going to put the Fox sensory therapy video, which has the sound and frequency of the mind strings. No, so sorry. I'm going to do the solar plexus video, which supports the energy center that you have that channels your personal power. It also channels your digestion, the energy of children and projects. It's a very important energy center, and its element is fire, and this is an excess of the fire element. And now in 2024, there is no water in the other dimensions, according to the people that know about feng shui. The element of water doesn't exist in 2024. That's a problem, because we already know there's too much fire. That's the basis for war. So the next therapy video that you're going to have in a few minutes will address adding the water issue. This one addresses stimulating and purifying the solar plexus, that is called the garbage can of emotion. So let's go ahead and start, and we're going to do 10 minutes. First, assess yourself, 1 to 10. Where are you at? 1, you want to slit your wrist. 10, you feel like $1 million. Where are you at in terms of looking at the gold and white dress? And we're going to do this every time because it's like a marker that doesn't change. Oh, I see it a lot more gold and white, and I do not see, let me see. The bottom of it, I usually see a little bit. No, it's still dark. Darn. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. We're going to do 10 minutes, and then we're going to go into the mantra that is the mantra that has allowed us to understand that when we purify our hate and our fear, basically we're making ourselves safe. As I tell mothers, do not send your children out into the world unless they have balance, or they have, especially their fire element. Because if you have repressed fire, which is what happens to kids that are bullied, you repress your fire, that attracts your law of attraction. People that are playing out their fire, being bullies, being murderous types, etc. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Let's do 10 minutes. How do you feel? From 1 to 10? Human beings create their own reality, and we've created it collectively since the planet started, I think. Now we are able to create reality individually. So the entire country can collapse, but you can have created with your mind, because the mind creates reality through intention, a reality totally separate, positive, with what you want. What's the problem? We don't create consciously, and we do react very quickly, emotionally and mentally, to what's around us. And many times our reaction is what triggers creation, such as, and I say it again because it happened to so many of us, when we're young, our parents talked as if there was not enough money, they might get thrown out of the house, or maybe there was a problem and there wasn't enough money. So that creates in you as a child, feeling helpless, the desire to have everything under control, your control, and totally secure economically. So here we go 30, 40, 50 years later, and you want a different job. So you apply for the job, you don't get it, and you should have gotten it. But when we look, we find that you have a much stronger intention to be secure than you have to get a better job and earn more money. Because that reaching for something creates instability. Suppose it doesn't go well, you lose that job. Suppose you don't like it. Suppose they don't like the way you work. So inside of you, you have set in concrete the being financially secure, which kind of means that you should stay exactly where you're at because you're totally secure there. That's the problem. That's a reaction to what happened 40 years before. It's not happening anymore. It's not even appropriate. But that's the subconscious with its power, not just to create, but to hang on to those creations, and you don't even know it. That's why we can't just give you this information and say, you got the information, goodbye. You have to keep working on it. You have to keep chiseling away at whatever it is that stands in the way of you reducing the two energies that are the basis for war, which is hate and fear. That's the next mantra that we're going to be doing now. But this is what I sketched in between. I don't understand it, and I'm not going to break my head trying to understand it. You certainly got very nice energy coming in through the top of your head, and you got all these great triangles. I don't know what it means, but you've got your protection. So now let's go into what really makes the difference, which is this mantra. And where I had to confess that I had misinterpreted the information, that the reason why we get this pyramid protection, which was what was set up in place for the pharaohs in those pyramids, the reason you get it is not because you're aligned with the age of Aquarius and community and you're doing a mantra for world peace. No, this is not a mantra for world peace. Where's the word world peace? It's not there. It says to miraculously purify fear and hate. And I say it's going to purify it in you. So why didn't I say it's going to purify it in the outside world? I didn't. I put what it is here, but it turns out that we are purifying ourselves of two energies, rage and fear, which trigger wars and fights and anger, but we're doing it in ourselves. Therefore, when we clear this, our magnetic resonance by law means we're not going to be drawing to us fear and hate, which is war. So the reason why this mantra works is because it clears us, and we are the ones that create the outside world. Now, there's another issue which I'm going to bring up. Stimulation of our adrenals, the electroshock, the testosterone that is stimulated by fear and excitement. When we get into some place mentally to where there is no fear and hate, it can feel very dull. You can feel like half dead. And I have my own personal experience, which I would share. It's embarrassing. 30 years ago, when I woke up to the fact that I was a mind control victim and I was shocked that I wasn't master of my destiny and the best thing since sliced bread, um, I realized, darn, I lost my train of thought. Totally lost my train of thought. We are under an attack and it's energetic. It could be my own exhaustion. But let's go ahead with this mantra, which is the one for world peace, so that you can have peace within you. And I think the story that I was going to say was the story that indicates how we can think that we're fine and we don't understand what is happening to us, but there's a very good explanation within us, not intellectually, energetically, in terms of congestions and traumas, that explains why we are drawing to us particular experiences. In my case, in terms of this enemy that I have, that we're going totally confrontive in social media and Spanish. I'm not sure I would dare to do it in English, but it doesn't really matter. Um, Whoa, my mind left again. I don't know if you can see the waves of energy that are coming in at this level. Shoo. You have to learn to look at life the way it really is. And this was explained to me by my control many years ago. And then he said, I think I said too much. And I had asked him about, I wanted to understand this whole thing about mind control and whatever. He said, well, life is like a river, and there's a lot of little fishes in the river. And then you put a division in between. And then he stopped and said, I already said too much. Your life is like a river. It's a flow of an energy of your soul, but there's walls in between that have to do with incarnations. And those walls include forgetting. So you come to this incarnation, you don't remember why you were so dumb that you decided to be born at this time. And you don't remember the agreements you made with people in regards to this man that today was trying to figure out how he could sue me to get me to shut up about what he's doing to us. We have apparently a karmic agreement that he is to beat me to a pulp energetically, me and my followers, in order to push me to access more information and more superpowers, which I wasn't willing to access because I'm much more comfortable being a victim than being a master. And that happens to a lot of us. So you need to widen your lens on who you are, because you're not just this personality. That is not your essence, and it's not the complexity of what you are. It's just one little part of you. And that probably has a lot of opinions about the core part of you, which would be your spirit, which would be your emotional body. So let's go ahead with this mantra. And let's go ahead with the music that has the trilling. And again, if you're like a little bit bored because I haven't given you any electroshock level information, then that's an example of always needing to be stimulated. And bad news, finding out that people lied, finding out that the Democrats did this, that the Republicans did that, that that person lied, that that person, and look what was revealed. All of that is very stimulating to your kidneys, and it keeps you awake. And the kind of stuff that will keep you happy long term is not like an injection of adrenaline or electroshock. And that's a problem. That's the story I wanted to tell. In the 90s, when I started to remember and wake up about being a mind control victim, I had a psychologist whose specialty was prisoners of war and victims of torture. Great. I got bumped up because my stories were not appropriate for group therapy, um, whatever. So here goes my mind again. Where was I going? Dearie me. I went to therapy one day. I'm back. I grabbed the thread. But man, that energy is really pushing. And I was in the therapist's office and I was pacing. I was standing and pacing, which I don't generally do. And she said, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I'm very nervous. I said, I think it's near a full moon, whatever, of blaming it on something. And she said, I don't think so. Tell me what's going on. I said, oh, I don't know. I'm just very anxious. She said, is it possible you're bored? And I went and looked at her, don't be ridiculous. And she said, things are kind of quiet now with your enemies. Is it possible you're bored? And I thought about it. I didn't like that. And I kind of made my face. And she said, because sometimes when we live a life full of a lot of stimulation, when the stimulation stops, the pain stops, the threats stop, the attacks stop, we can go into like a depression because we're missing that adrenaline rush. That was exactly what happened. So what you need to know is that you transition from loving the fact that you feel alive when your hate is stimulated and that news comes out and you feel good about it. Well, look at this, and oh my God, I'm going to call so and so. You're not doing yourself a favor. You're hooked onto a train that's going to crash. But the other train is really slow, and you have to work with yourself to keep yourself from hopping off the train because you're half asleep, because you don't have the stimulation of the fear and the anger and all the rest of that. That was a story I wanted to tell you. So let's go ahead with this mantra, which you remember, you repeat silently and you expel the breath through your mouth, and we're going to do 15 minutes. Okay? Super. Okay. Where are you at? From 1 to 10. You should have improved several points, I hope. And here's the gold dress. How is that looking to you? Did it improve? Is it brighter? Okay, I have to tell you another story. A couple years ago, or a year and some, the Mantrista movement group, we went and purified the root cause of violence in 20 countries. Some nights we did 3 small countries, sometimes we did 2, sometimes we did 1. And what we would do would be to do a mantra to find what could be a root cause for violence in the future, which would be now. And what we found in practically all of the countries that what could be a trigger or what could be triggered now having to do with violence had to do with when the conquistadores, the Spaniards, came in. We did Latin America and the Americas also, the United States and Canada. When the invading parties came in, they took over and they always won. In the United States' case, it was the people from the East went to the West, they killed all the Indians, etc. But the point of the matter is that that left a congestion in the countries, in the land of anger, rage, and also of loss. None of them won the war against the invading forces. Today, we cleared those countries, except for a couple in which we were told, don't even bother entering because it's too dark. The point is that that congestion of rage would be triggered now, and it would also trigger the pattern of failure when there's an invasion, which is what may happen with the ETs. Interesting. Repeating of patterns. So we would have been ready for violence because we have a congestion of violence from 150 years or 200 years ago that never purified. That's what happened with the earthquakes in New York after 9/11. And we also have the pattern of not being able to take care of ourselves when there's an invading force that knows a lot more than we do. I just realized these were indigenous cultures who, in my opinion, know a lot more, but other dimensional spiritual things. But on the physical dimension, the ones that had the muskets and the cannons and the interesting drinks and who knows what else I don't know, they came in and they looked like the sophisticated people that knew more, and the indigenous people were just like lowlifes. But if the ETs invaded us today, that would be a repeat performance of that same scenario. I hope that we did a good enough job of purifying the horror and the trauma of what happened to where it won't repeat again because of what happened before. But we will see soon enough. So we're going to go ahead and end now. And I'm going to again warn you, high stimulation, excitement, news that keeps you buzzing and that you have to share with other people may not be the best thing for you, because it would mean that your world would be kind of unstable. And any good therapist will tell you that as high as you go, you're going to fall, not to baseline, but down. So, and that's a problem today with the addiction to the internet and the games, to where you get such immediate stimulation and gratification. So start looking at your addictions to make sure that they are not the ones that are going to keep you hooked to a reality that gives you all of that adrenaline, but also can mean the end of your life as you know it. And not really willing to integrate all the spiritual aspects of yourself so that you can have a life that's more in control, more placid, and more peaceful. Sometimes people don't want peace. They need the chaos. And honestly, it will be very easy to achieve that chaos. So we need to work very hard on understanding our addiction to adrenaline and to chaos, and hopefully substitute it for these mantras that we are showing you. And the exciting information about the other dimensions, which is so much more interesting than the physical dimension. So we will see you later, and we do have a chat at 8:15, but we also have an event which I want to put up here, which is in Spanish, because not enough of you that are just Anglo-speaking would be interested or would accept what I would say in it. And this has to do with everybody that signs up for the event and arrived. I will sketch their third eye and whatever issues they might have there. It's not a full-blown diagnosis, and you only get what I give you right then and there, but you will have a sketch of your third eye, and the information we have found has been very accurate. And at one point, I sketched over 50 people in one class. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit smaller this time. But you're welcome to join us. Thank you.